as a part of Random House's The Modern Library series. Bennett Cerf published an anthology in 1944 entitled Famous Ghost Stories. Most of the book consists of classic tales by the likes of Ambrose Bierce, Rudyard Kipling, and Saki, but the final section is entitled The Current Crop of Ghost Stories. Cerf writes, I have set down a few of the memorable ghost anecdotes that have told me in the past few years. One of them is particularly pungent and goes something like this. A businessman named Ellison is commuting home on the train from New York City to Connecticut. He is trying to focus on his newspaper when a young man slumps down on the seat next to him. The man appears a total wreck, trembling and twitching, seemingly disconnected from the world. He finally pulls himself together enough to apologize to Ellison for his manner and explains why he is so distraught. 9 years earlier, the stranger explains, he had been the head of his college fraternity during his senior year. The fraternity was quite exclusive. There were only a dozen members. Only 3 freshmen were allowed to pledge each academic year. As part of the rite of admittance, the pledges were put through elaborate and fantastic rituals. On a starless night, a party of 12 headed out to a deserted house miles from campus. The place had been abandoned for years and had fallen into severe disrepair. Local legend had it that the place was haunted by its final owner, who had murdered his wife and children and been hung for his crime. The frailest of the 3 pledges was selected to enter the home first. He was instructed to enter the building, stay there for a half hour, and then return. The rest of the group waited a short distance away by a bonfire they built. After 45 minutes, the pledge had not returned. Thinking that he was playing a prank, the second freshman student was sent in to fetch him. 10 minutes passed without results. No sound could be heard. The fire was burning low. The third pledge, a handsome, well-built, athletic type, was sent into the house. He grinned and loped into the building, calling out for his classmates. More time passed. No one returned. Finally, the fraternity president walked into the house. As he entered, he was greeted by a musty smell, like that of old books. He called for the boys and investigated by flashlight. He could find no sign of them, but he could hear a distant sound, a faint, steady tap, 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 coming from above. Following the sound, he went upstairs. It seemed to be coming from the roof. A ladder led up through an open skylight. Climbing up, he stuck his head out. He could see the third boy lying on the roof, stretched out on his stomach. His hair was snow white. His eyes rolled in his head. He seemed senseless. In one hand, he held a hammer, covered in blood. The boy was tapping weakly on the tin roof with it. The fraternity members were able to get the boy down and took him to the college hospital. He died the next morning without ever uttering a single syllable. No trace was ever found of the other 2 boys. The businessman, Ellison, isn't sure what to make of this story. Is his fellow passenger a drunkard? He responds that this happened 9 years ago. Surely, the man can still be this upset. The young man focuses his burning eyes on Ellison. Every year on the anniversary of that night, one of the 9 remaining men from that hazing party had gone stark, raving mad. They would be found gibbering nonsense, tapping on the floor with a bloody hammer. They then died within 24 hours. In low and precise tones, the young man explained that the next night would mark the 9th anniversary. He was the only survivor left.